You have a calendar there?
Hang on. I have it on my phone.
November 28th is going to be a busy day.
Okay, that's...
locally and nationally. It's a Friday. It's Black Friday.
Oh, I've got that.
Yeah, okay. You're going to be doing your shopping, your online shopping, looking for your cyber deals. That's also the day that Georgia and Georgia Tech will lock horns at Mercedes-Benz at 3:30 in the afternoon. Now, around that Georgia Tech game, you'll have an interesting matchup with Ole Miss at Miss State. You'll have Utah, Kansas that day, Iowa, Nebraska, Indiana, Purdue, Texas A&M and Texas, all on that Friday. Y'all ready for this? Georgia Tech's biggest game of the day by far. And I think that's going to be the case when Texas loses on Saturday to Georgia to solidify what I'm talking about. Texas will get their third loss Saturday, and their role against A&M will be to play spoiler. And that'll be a big game, very big. But Georgia Tech could be a battle of two top tens. One in the top five and an elimination game for one or maybe both. And I've previewed this now for many weeks leading up to what this could look like. Here's how this game turns into a play-in. If Georgia Tech stumbles against Pitt, their only way in is to beat Georgia. And even then, with two losses, it's not guaranteed. But I happen to think if they only lose two games, one of them is to a pretty good Pitt team, and you have a win over Georgia to finish up your season, I think they'll get in the playoff. That becomes a play-in game on Black Friday. Georgia's road is trickier for a play-in. It would take losing to Texas Saturday and knowing that we can't lose to Tech because that would be their third loss. There's the play-in route where both teams are like, oh, and L, and we're eliminated.
You're upping them right up to the edge of the cliff and saying, all right, this is what's on the line for this game.
Well, and the numbers are different. So I just said for Georgia Tech, a second loss might do them in because they're the ACC and their schedule isn't very good. Georgia's going to get to the chance to lose to Texas and still have a chance to recover. But on that Black Friday, if both teams were to stumble one more time, that game becomes everything. Forget about in-state bragging rights and forget about the Governor's Cup, which are big deals. But now we're talking about the pain of ending your rival season and at the same time continuing yours to go play in the playoff. And I've talked about this several times over the last several weeks, and I don't think it's been hitting until now. We're getting closer and closer and closer. 3:30 Saturday, November 28th. My goodness, our state, this should look like a small Texas Friday night city where they have high school football, where the whole state should be closed, and we should be watching those two teams try to kill each other for a playoff spot.
Georgia Tech, I believe, desperately wants to get to Charlotte at this point. Like, let's go ahead and take care of our own business and force our way in. I don't think Georgia, like, room of truth, let's skip Atlanta. Let's skip the S, because what you're saying about the playoffs beginning on Black Friday, talk about the mental stress. It's not just the physical. Young legs, they recover. It's the brain stress of, I've got a playoff game against Georgia Tech, then I have an SEC championship game. Say you lose that game, then we're going to have 4 playoff games potentially? No. That's too much.
This is what we've always wanted, though. Like in our state, this is what we've sat through so many one-sided noontime. You're on the ACC or SEC network, and the world's like, yeah, we're over here watching Ohio State and Michigan. And now Georgia Tech has this. Like I just said, you're going to watch the two teams in this state try to kill each other for a playoff spot.
You're going to affect
Nothing has ever been more important than that.
No, you're going to affect other people's brackets. Georgia could affect other teams sometimes because they were on a more national level with what they were doing each season. Georgia Tech rarely could affect people on a national level. This game will affect everybody on the national level.
It will, but let's bring it back to this. The loser of this, you're going to be gutted. If it turns out to be the play-in that I'm talking about. I mean, Texas could beat Georgia Saturday. That wouldn't be unheard of. Then Georgia's on the brink. It's a play-in for them. Tech could stumble against Pittsburgh. Whoever, let's say it's 27-24, whoever's got the lead, Georgia Tech on Black Friday, and 000s come up, you're going to be gutted in a way you've never been gutted before. Not because in-state and the guy in the cubicle next to you, not because they wave the flag for the state and they pump up the Governor's Cup. You're going to be gutted because your season ends and the other one gets to play in the playoff. That's what we've always wanted this game to be, and it can be that now.
It would be a different level of exhilaration for Georgia Tech players and coaches and fans and all that as well. The players, I know the profile of that's changing because of the portal and, import-export. But for Georgia, that's kind of a game that they play, and most times they win. For Georgia Tech, not only did we do this for us and these first 10 things, it's all about us. We ended Georgia's season.
Imagine if it would have been last year's 8 overtime game. You're playing for a playoff spot, and if it was that 8-0, my goodness. Which, by the way, I don't like that overtime rule. It's a side story. I don't need 2-point conversions. It's hokey. I know we want to get the game done. Come on. If we're playing for a playoff spot, I don't need your best 2-point play.
We got the timeouts taken away after that game, though. So I think that was part of the, at least the advantage of having played that game.